Last year, government proposed to ban scrap metal exports of copper and ferrous metal for 6 months. This was done to address the theft of public infrastructure, which causes more than 47 billion rands damage annually to the economy. Recently, the Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition extended the ban for another 6 months. However, it seems the ban is not yielding the envisaged results.
Unfortunately, all reports don't indicate that the ban has been effective. That's from the data that's been released. But even if you don't have to take only my word for it. Even in the draft regulations that came out from the DTIC proposing this extension to the ban, in there they mention that the state-owned entities who've been most hardest hit by the scrap metal theft, being your Eskom, Transnet, and I think Telkom is in there, but I stand corrected on the last one. But even in those regulations, they mention that all those entities have indicated the fact that scrap metal theft on their properties has not slowed down. So just on that pure measure of what the data is telling us, as well as what is in the very draft regulations that were sent out proposing the ban, one comes to that conclusion that it unfortunately is not working.
Meanwhile, theft and vandalism of copper is impacting negatively on the economy. Traffic signals are some of the infrastructure impacted as they are stripped to extract the copper contained therein. According to the City of Johannesburg's acting head for mobility and freight, Sipho Nhlapo, this has wide-ranging implications.
The ports in South Africa, your Cape Town, your Durban, your East London, your PE, consumption happens in Gauteng. So there's a lot of stuff that has to come into Gauteng and then transported out to Africa. Now, when your traffic lights are not working correctly, there's delays for a truck to reach a port, for that material to reach China or to reach Germany. It gets affected simply because the traffic lights are not working perfectly, and then there's a delays, and that truck might actually lose its time to be at the port. So there's a big impact on this thing. On a lower level, yourself, darker streets exposes you to unsafe environment. A traffic light network that is not working, the probability of accident happening there because you don't know who has to go, who doesn't have to go, affects you.
The scrap metal industry in South Africa has been facing various challenges and controversies that impact its operations and profitability. SABC appreciates the intention of the ban, but it is concerned that it is a drastic measure.
This ban is quite a drastic measure. So what we are doing is we are resolving a security-related problem with an instrument that has industrial policy implications. Because what you now do by virtue of that is by banning the scrap metal, by banning the export of scrap metal, you discount the local pricing of scrap metal, which is an important input cost to your steel producers, your electric arc furnace producers. So you then give them a discount, which is a benefit. But those producing steel from iron ore, your integrated producers, they don't have that same benefit. So you've already disturbed quite a delicate steel ecosystem. And more importantly also is that for those companies that generate legitimate scrap from their operations, the sale of that scrap metal back into the system is a type of cost recovery mechanism. So it helps them then maintain margins. So that price support from export is actually very important. So then highlighting it is that there's the economy impact, but then there's the industrial policy implications that are playing out. And unfortunately, both are negative for this.
At the same time, the City of Johannesburg says it has bled more than 28 million rands in just the last 3 years due to traffic light vandalism and theft. Nhlapo says traffic lights installations can cost anything from 250,000 to 500,000, depending on the complexity of the traffic lights.
It means if everything gets stolen on that intersection, and then we're dealing with 10 immediately, we're already talking 2.5 million rands that we need to put up. Now, in the past 3 years, if I give you a picture, we've lost more than 28 million rands, I think. And this is now the money we go back and replace what we already have. In a country like ours where we need to be moving forward, instead of moving forward, we're going backward. Now, that is a big challenge on us because we don't have that kind of money. the city does not have the kind of money to be able to go back to fix what it had already fixed. And it creates a problem, because if you don't do that as well, there's litigation that we are at risk of.
Diabo Seto, SABC News, Johannesburg.